Hey everybody, welcome to the Beetle Garage. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about shipping beetles. I know that this isn't something that everyone has to deal with, but if you say have larvae or you have some beetles that have bred and you want to ship them to some friends or sell them or whatever you whatever the reason you have to ship the beetles. I'm going to show you kind of how I do it. People have different ways of doing it, but this is what I've found to be successful, and it's worked really well for me. So first of all, boxes. This is just a regular box that I've bought, but I've also spent some money and bought these. This one is from Reptiles Express. It is a 7x7, and these boxes come with some styrofoam that lines all the sides of the box. And what this does is it shields whatever you have in there a little bit better from the heat or cold, depending on if it's winter or summer, and it just gives it a little bit better insulation. So what I also do is, for instance, it's summer right now, and I'm gonna ship this little guy to a friend. This is a little Cyclomatus elephas male that I recently got from a friend. I don't currently have any females, and he is looking to breed his female. So I have larvae of these guys already, so I'm planning on just raising those. So I'm shipping him this Cyclomatus elephas so that he can start his little breeding program as well. But what I do is I'll package him up in something like this. This is just a regular deli container. This one has holes that are kind of melted into the sides or drilled into the sides. So it doesn't have any on the lid, but oftentimes if I just have a regular deli container, I'll punch holes in the lid with a thumbtack and just give him a little bit of air that way. This has some damp sphagnum moss that I put in there. So what I'm going to do is going to get this guy out. Hopefully he won't give me a nip as I'm doing that. I sometimes put jelly in there, but I don't always do that because a lot of times beetle jelly will melt if there's heat, or if it's in contact with stuff, it'll melt. But this is, not going too far. It's within the state. So I'm just gonna keep his jelly in there so he has something to eat. This is the little Cyclomatus elephas, my favorite. I've already got some larvae going, and I don't have a female, so he is gonna go to a friend. But these are definitely one of my favorites. So I'm just gonna set him in here. Let him get back to his eating. All right, you stay in there. Then what I normally like to do, I'm gonna put this on for now, is I will normally moisten a paper towel and I will use that to kind of give a little bit of padding on the top, so that way if the box is rattling around in a truck or in a plane, then he's not going to go flying around. And then after closing the top, I make sure it's on there tightly. I use I like to use this painter's tape because you can peel it back off really easily. So make sure you're not covering the air holes. If you only have air holes like in the top or something, make sure you're not covering those up. I mean, honestly, they'll probably have enough air to breathe. I don't think they're going to suffocate, but you know, you want to make sure that they have some air holes, and this container has them on the side, so I'm not too worried about the top. But I do this because a lot of times beetles will kind of like push on the lids if they're in a lid. So they'll push on the lids, and sometimes they'll escape, and sometimes they'll also chew. So if you are using a PET plastic container like this, these tend to be a little bit thinner. So if you're concerned at all, I would go with these kind of containers, these deli containers, because they do tend to be a little bit thicker. And although they can chew through it, if you have some food in there with them, or stuff like that, fruit maybe, they will often be fine. So I find that sometimes the jellies will melt, so you can put a small piece of fruit in there as well, and that tends to do a little bit better because it won't melt and get all over the place as much. I mean, fruit does tend to leak some fluids, so you can do that if you want. Put some fruit in there, make sure it's organic so there's no pesticides. And once I've got this ready to go, I'll take my box, and in this case I've cut some styrofoam pieces because this is a box that I purchased a bunch of these boxes for shipping, and I also have a bunch of this styrofoam that I've gotten just here and there through shipping, you know, receiving things in the mail. They often come with styrofoam, and I keep the styrofoam for cases like this. I use one of these. It's a heat pen, I guess, for lack of a better term, but I use this to cut the styrofoam. So it heats up. You plug it in here, and when it's hot, it's kind of like a knife through butter, if you've ever heard that term. You just kind of run it along the side with a metal straight edge, and it'll just cut where you've run the pen. So anyways, let me go ahead and get this started. I'll put the bottom down. And these are slightly off of square, and I'll put these down one at a time, and they kind of interlock. They interlock in a way that that keeps it from falling apart, keeps the shape from falling apart. So when the box is compressed, these pieces tend to get a little closer together. Sometimes I'll tape them just to make sure that they're not too loose, so that the temperature is not escaping. And this is how the top goes in. All right, so once you've got that, you just box it up, tape it, and you're good to go. But let me explain how I deal with the inside. So what I often do is, for the summer, I'll get an ice pack like this, and I'll wrap it in Reflectix. This is a insulation material normally used in construction, but you can buy rolls of it. It's like bubble wrap, but it's foil, and it does a really good job of insulating. So I'll go ahead and drop a few of those inside. It's also important that if you do use an ice pack and you put it inside, that you're not putting your beetles directly on top of that, because you know, the ice is pretty cold, and you're not really shielding them at all if you do that. So that's another reason why I use the Reflectix. Is it feels cool, and it's, you know, it'll keep the beetles cold, but it's also not going to freeze them or make them so cold that they're not going to survive the trip. So these ice packs tend to melt, and they don't have a super long shelf life or frozen life. So if you are shipping, make sure you ship quickly. I always recommend, if you're shipping beetles, to do it either overnight or second day air. If you're shipping close by to maybe within the state, within your county or something like that, then you don't always have to spring for like an overnight service. You can just use like USPS Ground Advantage or UPS, regular UPS, and normally it'll take a day or two if it's close by. So it really depends on how far your recipient is, what kind of ice you use. There's not an ice that I know of that's going to last 5 or 6 days. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a 16.9 ounce water bottle. I'll freeze that. I'll wrap it in Reflectix, and then I will put that in the box. And that's proven to be pretty good for me. So, you know, the thicker it is, the more dense it is, I think it tends to hold the cold in better. Now, if you're going to ship during the winter, you also have to be very cognizant of cold weather. And the beetles don't do great in either hot or cold weather. So what I do then is I will use heat packs. If you're familiar with those small heat packs that people use for skiing or, you know, stuff like that, outdoor activities during the winter, they'll take these little packs, they'll put them in their gloves or boots or something, and some people will use those, but they do tend to get really hot, and the length of time that they stay hot isn't quite as long as some other materials. So I've linked a product here that can help you if you're shipping during the winter and you need to keep something warm for a long period of time. You can use these. I don't have any on hand because it's currently summer in California, and so I don't really have too much need for that right now. But these heating products will do a good job of regulating the heat so that it doesn't get extremely hot, and that heat will last for a long time. So I've had packages shipped to me from the Midwest in the middle of winter, and they arrived fine, and the heat packs were actually still warm after, I think it was 3 days in shipping. So these heat packs do work pretty well, and I would recommend using them if you're shipping at all during a spell where it might be a cold spell where it might be into the 40s or below. Definitely you'll need something to keep them warm. For the summer, if you are shipping beetles in temperatures of, I would say, mid 80s or above, then definitely consider ice or some way of keeping them cool during that time shipping. And always you want to use a faster shipping service. Shipping things via ground or something like that, unless you're close, it's not really going to be a good thing for your beetles. So anyways, what I do is I will put a packet like this in here. I'm just putting it in at an angle to make it fit for now, but I'll normally put it in flat. You'll put your beetles on top of that, and then you'll fill in the sides with newspaper or styrofoam peanuts or whatever to keep that box from rattling around. You put the lid on, tape it up well, and off you go. Some people will punch holes in the box, but I don't feel like any of these boxes are airtight. So I typically don't worry about making air holes. Some people also write live insects or something on the side, and that's not something I tend to do either, just because I don't want USPS opening up my packages because I've written insects on them. So normally I try to just, I'll use something like this. You can use something like this. There is something where you can ship certain types of animals, and it's fine to ship, and that requires that it has stuff printed on it that says live animal, contains harmless, non-venomous animals, and so that is legal. So you can use these boxes if you want. It's nice that they're white, because if the box is left on a doorstep or in a truck, but maybe there's some sunlight hitting it, this is going to absorb the heat a little bit faster than this will. So white boxes are good. Brown's not bad. And definitely try to insulate the box so that you're not having beetles just go in a brown box and it's hot out and you're not protecting them at all. That's not really going to be helpful for them to survive. So this is kind of how I do it. Other people have different methods. I will almost always use some sort of ice or heat product unless I know that the temperatures are mild and they're not going to be in any kind of danger. Then I will put them in a box and make sure it's well padded so that that they'll make it fine. But this is kind of how I do it, and hopefully that helps you. If you ever feel like you're about to ship beetles and you don't know what to do, maybe this will help you out, and let me know how it goes. Okay, good luck.